Hey everybody, Scoutcrafter here again. It's midweek Wednesday, last Wednesday of the year. We're going to finish up the march that we started on Monday. We got a few things to cover before the year ends, and then we have one more episode of this year, and that is New Year's Eve. Not typically a big viewership night, but we'll be doing our tribute lantern lighting for Bob the Lantern Guy, I don't know what year, 5 years already, 4 years, I don't know, but we'll be doing our annual New Year's light off. A couple other things planned for that day. But today I want to start off with a good friend of the show by the name of Tom Dale had written, and he said, hey, how are your cats and mice doing? I hope everything's good with them. And you know what's funny? Obviously, Tom's he's an animal guy like I was. Growing up, we always had animals in the house. I'm sure you did too, a lot of you. And it's always funny because we treat our animals exactly like we do a family member, growing up, I would always hear my grandmother and my mother or something, they talk to the animals like they're people, They would hear the cat meow or something, they say, what? No, you're not going out. You were just out. Or, and you'd swear they're talking to a person the way they're talking to them, The cat would meow, some say, no, I'm not, you're not eating, you just ate, there's food in your dish, eat that food. No, you're not getting, So I'm sure you've had conversations, or you do with your animals like that, like they're people, and they really do bring a lot of joy to your life. But as far as the mouse goes, you remember that mouse, that little mascot we got? A few months ago, my cat Pipes caught him and brought him a little guy, and brought him into the house, and or brought him into the porch, and I picked him up, and I say, I want to make sure he was okay. I put him in the terrarium down. He was getting cold. I said, I'll keep him till the spring. He's such a little guy, and he was traumatized. So much so that he wasn't coming out of his little log in there, and I said, I feel bad. The poor guy was probably, because he's so small and traumatized, he's scared. I said, what I'm going to do? I'm going to get him another mouse. And unfortunately, fortunately, I haven't caught any other mice around here, so this is the first year for that. But I went to Petco, and I bought a mouse, and I know some of you are laughing right now because you know the outcome. Anyway, I bought a mouse. I made a real chooch move, So I bought a female because I thought this was a female. Needless to say, look what happened. That's right. The female I got... I guess he wasn't too traumatized, my guy, because it didn't take long before I got, and this one had, what a litter, like 11 of them. So I have a little bit of an issue here with these mice, but I'll set them all free when the weather gets warmer. But it's going to be a long winter. I hope I can separate them or something so I'm not inundated with them. But other than that, everything's going good. So today, let's finish up the march. We got a couple things. Let's get started right away. Okay, today's first project comes from, Brian O'Hare. We all know him from the show. He dropped this off. He happened to go back to work where we used to work, and he ran into Ricky Shanone. Ricky was such a great guy when I was working, mechanic, and the guy had a wealth of information. He would always bring in new tools to show me things I never saw before. He was the one that introduced me to those Greenfield punch-outs that I showed on the show one time. And so Ricky happened to hear that I was doing a tool restoration show, so he brought this in. He donated it for the channel. And actually, we don't even know what this is, but I want to talk about it because it's an interesting tool. I think I figured out what it does, but I just don't know what it... I'm sure we can all figure it out as a channel. So before I start to show it to you, let me clean it up. I'm sure there'll be a name on here or something. Because years ago, a lot of companies would use the vice grip, basic vice grips to make other type of tools. One of them was the Meyer plier. You remember that? I did a video on this. This was another invention where they used a vice grip and just modified it. And a couple companies have done that. Very interesting. Okay, well, we're finished cleaning this up. This is as far as we're going to go with this, but let me tell you what this is, what I could find out. You could see here, after we cleaned it up, it does have a writing here, and it says Caddy. You see Caddy, and it was part of Erico Products Incorporated. The model number was BH-P, and what this was, they were out of Ohio, I think it says there. what this was a stud punch for those steel studs that they use instead of wood. And I think it was used by electricians or something. I don't know how it was used. This is where I'm hoping that it comes in handy. I can only assume, and you know what happens when we assume, that the certain parts of this, like this here, because it adjusts and it does have some lettering on there, it's numbers, it is a fence of some sort, so that when you put it in, it would line up, and you know, your holes from stud to stud would be exactly on line. There's another one here, but every picture I've seen online doesn't have anything in there. But let me show you how it would work. You would adjust this back here on your vice grip, that it would close up on a particular item. So we're going to use, I don't have any stud material here, but what we're going to use is we're going to use this regular tin can here. I'm going to show you what kind of punch it makes. And we're going to close it here like this here. Okay, we have it adjusted to that height. Now what you do is you pull this handle out and it will punch. You'll push this in and it just punched. Did you see that? It made a punch through there. Now when you release the mechanism here, okay, you could pull the punch off, and this is the kind of hole you're left with, okay? Now, you say, wow, that's pretty interesting. Gives you a nice square hole or whatever, but the problem is on the other side, there is a little bit of a sharp tang or whatever, so I don't know if that would have been bent down or it even mattered. Maybe it's a vent hole. This is where the electricians that are watching will come in handy. Maybe you could let us all know if you've ever used one of these, what it's used for. But obviously it does make, now I don't know if it's meant to make a line of holes or whatever, but it does make a nice square punch hole, and it was used for some sort of, this company here is known for their electronics or electrical plumbing and hanging. They had that the hanging material that they would have that you would see in commercial buildings. So Caddy, Erico Products, BHP, interesting, especially how it works, how it makes that square hole, which is pretty cool because it does have that punch that comes down, and you can see it's made. There you go. You can see it's made to push that metal away into the side, and it's very simply made, but they used to do that years ago. A lot of people would take an existing tool, modify it. I often wondered if they had to pay royalties to like Vice Grip for using most of their tool, pretty interesting. So I don't know if they still make this one. They do make different models, but that's what that's for. So so special thanks to Ricky for that great tool. I hope we find out a little bit more about it from some of the viewers out there and how it's used and what it's used for. Next up, I have a really funny story about full circle influencing, how this everything comes around, even in our lives. We tend to, I love that full circle term, things that we used to like when we're kids, we like later on when we're adults, it's like it comes full circle. So what happened was last year I was doing a video on some of the old catalogs. You know how to like those old tool collecting catalogs? Well, my good friend Reggie on the road from the UK, Reggie, who has probably the biggest hardware selection of anybody I've ever met, and we have a lot in common. Reggie did a video right after that. He goes, I also like those old tool catalogs, and he showed some of his. Now, the catalogs he's shown were a company called Buck and Hickman. Okay, so now another good friend of the show, James from Time Flies in the Shop, watches Reggie's video and says, man, I like those catalogs. So he searches one out, and he finds a reproduction Buck and Hickman catalog. So he orders it up, shows it on his channel. I see it, and of course I'm influenced. I said, wow, I gotta have one of those, and I picked it up. Let me show you what it is. How cool is that? And this is the catalog, and let me tell you how cool this is. Now, Buck and Hickman were big retailers over in the UK, and what happened was they had a catalog just for American tools. Now, this is a reproduction from the Midwest Tool Collectors Association, and they reproduced a lot of different catalogs, and they reproduced this one for good reason. It's an absolutely beautiful catalog. Let's take a look at, first of all, let's take a look at the building that Buck and Hickman was out of here. Let me just get this so you can see it better. out of the over in London. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Look at how that was even drawn. And one thing I love about this catalog, which I do about a bunch, but this one more so because this is from August 1902. And look at the fonts. I've never seen any of these fonts before. I'm almost sure that they were done by hand. This is not a typical font you would see in the regular print shop. Look at all the, lettering and everything. And you'll see a lot of things along this catalog that was very unusual, really high class. Like you see the lines that go around the sides with the little insignia here at the edge. How nice is that? But they had all the illustrations here are second to none in this catalog. Absolutely fantastic. In the beginning they have machine tools and things like that, but as we get towards the middle and the back, and let me flip from the back forward, it's just easier for me to do, you'll see all the different tools they have here. They have glass cutters, and again, look at that. That font is, you don't see that kind of font anywhere, do you? When was the last time you seen a fonts like that? I just love it. So whoever their illustrator was on this catalog was fantastic. But I don't want to go through the whole catalog here, but the reason I'm bringing this forward is I know a lot of you do like these older catalogs, and this one is still available because it wasn't printed that long ago, the reprint. I found that clamp pretty amazing. That's pretty cool, huh? And this one here runs about $20 on eBay, so it's an affordable catalog. It's beautiful. It's something you could look through and really enjoy it. Here's something. Look at that. You ever see those type of vices that have the handle on the side? I often wonder why some of these tools aren't reproduced today, because they were so beautiful. Of course, the iron levels, look at the ornate levels that they had and compare that to the stuff they make today. The import stuff that we don't want to get into that. But there's just everything in this catalog so fully illustrated, so well done. And it's just a joy to sit down and look through this and read up on it, look at the illustrations, and I think you'll enjoy it. It's a reproduction. It's available, and this is what you look for. So Buck and Hickman, it's the reproduction, and it came from the Midwest Tool Collectors Association, but just look this up on eBay or something, or Amazon, wherever, and you'll find it. Great catalog. James, thank you. Reggie, thank you, and really appreciate it. Okay, so in closing, special thanks to Ricky Shanone for supplying that tool. That's a very interesting tool, and I hope somebody out there will give us a heads up on how it's used and what it's used for exactly, because it is very interesting. Also, good news, we will have a challenge coming up in January, first week of January or so. I will come up with a challenge, and I think you're going to enjoy this one because everybody can get involved, no matter what your age, your skill set, or your desire to finish it. It's an easy challenge, but you can make it as hard as you want. I'm looking forward to it, and we'll get that done, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks very much for tuning in. Take care now. Bye-bye.